Chapter 33 Iverson's Pot of Gold in rural North Dakota. The corroded warehouse next to the abandoned oil drills smelled bitter and looked 50 years past its prime. Gunner's belongings were stacked into a pyramid in the center of the warehouse. Truckee arranged the empty gas cans in front of the belongings so Gunner would think they were about to light it on fire. Truckee told Casey he'd given each of the workers one crisp Benjamin from his billfold and that the expense could come out of his 60% of the cut. Hondo, Chell, and A.K. Bob arrived a few minutes apart. They all parked behind the warehouse next to the U-Haul, which Truckee said he would return in the morning since he'd paid for 24 hours. Casey brought everyone together for proper introductions. "Thanks, you guys, for coming," Casey said. "This mysterious man with the trucker hat is my neighbor and friend, Truckee Smoot. He's a truck driver by day and who the hell knows what by night. Pleased to meet everyone." Truckee gave a two-finger salute. Hondo Kildare is a retired special agent for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. He lives across the river from Gunner's oil drill site next to the National Park grounds. That's where I met him, and we've been working together since. "Thank you, Casey Clay." Hondo was holding an orange handheld device that had two metal prongs on the end. "It's an honor to be among you all tonight." "I've heard a lot about you, Mr. Kildare." Truckee bowed in front of him. "Please teach me your ways so they're not wasted on our youth." Casey jumped in. "Not the time, Karate Kid." Turning to Chell, Casey marveled at his transformation from local politician to bounty hunter. He wore a black hoodie under his Kevlar vest with dark sweatpants. He had a nightstick in one hand and zip ties in the other. "This is Chell Tivo, CEO of Outlaw Hunters and professional fugitive recovery agent." Chell flashed a smile. "Nice to meet you all. I have to admit, this is a first for me." Chell motioned towards Gunner's pile. "Clever idea. Who came up with it?" Before Casey could respond, Truckee grabbed Casey by the shoulder. "You're a new recruit here. Casey's got a lot of brains to go with that brawn. He even called this trick an Alabama ransomware. Great guy to have around on the team." "I can see that," Chell said. Casey gave Truckee a playful elbow and turned to A.K. Bob, who was checking the chamber on his AK-47. There was a barrel drum clip the size of a beer keg protruding out of the weapon. He was wearing military tactical gear. "This is A.K. Bob, owner of Locked and Loaded and an AK Master." "It's great to meet you guys." A.K. Bob flipped a switch on the side of his AK. "Modified this baby so it can go from a single shot, 3-shot burst, or the mode I'm using for tonight's party, full auto." "How many rounds you have in that barrel drum?" Truckee asked. 75. I have extra banana clips in my cargo pockets in case we need more." "You know how I feel about having firearms," Chell said. "You can use it to scare him, but I don't want bullet holes in anyone, you hear me?" "This baby's like a third arm. Don't have to worry about me. Oh, and thanks for inviting me along. This is way better than playing PS5. Casey's phone rang. "Hold on, guys. This is my sister. She's tracking Gunner's phone." He tapped Allie in. "I've got you on speaker. Where's he at?" "His truck is heading north up a highway, and he's pinging next to what looks like a big prison." "Totem Penitentiary," Truckee said. "He's 10 miles out." "Allie, can you tell if he's by himself?" "He is," Allie said. "He got a call from one of his co-workers and he said that he had to go take care of something quick. The worker asked if he needed backup, but he said he was going to handle it by himself." "Excellent," Casey said. "Anything else?" "Seems like he's traveling over the speed limit, so he'll probably be there in less than 10 minutes. "Thanks, Allie. You can crash on my RV's main bed and I'll take the fold-out table for all this fine work." "I'll hold you to that." Casey ended the call. "I'm going to grab my gear and we can go through the plan quick one more time before he gets here." The group dispersed and Honda followed Casey to the side of the warehouse where he had stashed his backpack. "What's that thing in your hand?" Casey asked. "A cattle prod. Works better than a taser gun at close range." "I've never tried one. You think it'll work on Gunner?" Casey opened his pack and strapped on his vest. "When it's turned up all the way like I have it now, it can take down a full-grown cow." "Wow, that's quite the jolt." "I brought you some athletic tape for your hands to ensure you can grip the clubs in case you get sweaty." Hondo handed him a small white roll. "Do you know where you'll set up?" "Thanks." Casey wrapped his hands while he scanned the warehouse. Light rays from a falling sunset fought through stained glass panels on the ceiling. The ground was muddy. There were rusted oil barrels near the front of the warehouse. "I was thinking behind those oil barrels, the same position I was in when we practiced at your dojo." "I hoped you would choose that location." Casey placed his helmet on and pulled it down snug. He set his clubs aside and peered at the last item in the bag. "What is it?" Hondo asked. "You ever wear something for good luck?" Casey lifted the flannel and said a quick prayer to his brother before sliding it on. "Of course." Hondo reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn patch. It had a red and yellow yin-yang sign with arrows twisting around it. "Bruce Lee gave this to me when I met him for the first time. I've kept it in my pocket every day since." He handed it to Casey. "Oh, no, I can't take this. Yes, it's my gift to you. Hondo wrapped it in Casey's hand. May it give you luck tonight and help you as you continue to practice and one day master Jeet-Kune-Do. Thank you. Casey tucked the patch in his pocket. He grabbed his clubs and stood tall. How do I look? Intimidating, but I must add one thing. Hondo pulled a small plastic tub from his jacket pocket. Lean down. Casey bent down and Hondo smeared black paint under his eyes, the kind worn by football players. This is your war paint. Hondo twisted the top of the tub and slipped it into Casey's backpack. Wear it every time you battle a criminal. I will. Casey saw the others return with their gear in front of Gunner's belongings. Let's go get ready. He'll be here any minute. Whoa! Truckee was holding a boombox. You really are Buffalo Man. I want one. Can I please have a helmet, Master Killdeer? And how do I get some of those prairie pom-poms? Truckee motioned to his billy clubs. Why don't you bend over and tell me you think they feel like pom-poms? Casey pretended to whack Truckee. That's a brilliant look, Chell said. I see a whole branding campaign swirling in my head. Like something out of Fortnite, AK Bob said. Truckee, I can help you with the non-lethal weapons, and I like that nickname, Prairie Pom-Poms. What's with the boombox? Casey asked. Picked it up yesterday from Hype Chick. She's got a dozen of these boomers. I swear they're the loudest on the market. You can hear the bass from these speakers blocks away. My plan was when Gunner pulls up, I'll play music in the far corner to distract him. Okay, well, I'm planning to set up in the front corner. Casey motioned toward the oil barrels. I'll wait for Gunner to turn toward the music and then strike him with my clubs. Casey crossed his clubs in front of his chest like an X. I'll set up on the other front corner, Chell said. Wait for you to run as my cue and then I'll sprint in from the other side. You focus on striking him and I'll try to get the restraints on his hands. Where do you want me? AK Bob rested his AK on his shoulder. How about the other back corner opposite of Truckee? Casey said. You have the longest range weapon and should be able to cover the whole warehouse. I should have brought my scope. Where are you going to set up, Hondo? Casey asked. I plan to linger outside as a lookout. When Gunner approaches, I'll let out the long whistle. I'll follow in behind Gunner when you make your move to strike. Remember what we practice, and... Casey looked into Hondo's eyes when he stopped speaking. Yeah? Hondo examined Casey's eyes with intense focus like he was looking into the depths of his soul. When you wear this helmet, you're no longer Casey Clay. You're Buffalo Man. Hondo tapped him on the letters of his vest. Find your inner beast. Strike fast and hard. You can do this. Casey nodded. Holy shit, Truckee exclaimed. That was like something out of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Master Splinter, will you be my adopted grandpa? Everyone laughed. Okay, let's get into position, Casey said. Truckee winked at Casey. Rock on, Buffalo Man. The five of them drifted to their positions. Casey checked his watch. Gunner could arrive at any moment and he wondered what the man would do. Gunner was a trained professional killer who had just been robbed and humiliated. What if he pulls a gun on me? What am I even doing here, Nolan? Casey gazed down at the sleeves of his flannel. I was supposed to be briefing senators about parks today, and instead I'm dressed up like Paul Bunyan wearing Babe's horns for Halloween. I'm sure you're having a great laugh about this with the big man upstairs. Hondo whistled outside and his pulse sped up. His first 2 weeks in North Dakota felt like watching syrup drip out of a maple tree, but this week, from rescuing Manitou to meeting Hondo and the new job opportunities with Chell at Outlaw Hunters, his first date and kiss with Piper, and now this? Focus. You're Buffalo Man. You can do this. Casey clutched his clubs at the sound of wheels crunching on gravel. He peered over to see if he could spot Chell, but Chell's body was out of sight. Casey readjusted, tucking him further behind the barrels. There was a clicking sound, and a moment later, the eerie a cappella intro of Renegade filled the warehouse. A vehicle door opened and slammed outside, and boots crunched as they approached the warehouse's main entrance. Gunner stopped in the large entryway. You bastards better show yourself right now or you're dead. Gunner scanned the room. Casey held his breath as he peered through a tiny crack between two barrels. He felt his adrenaline spike and his arm shake. Come on, Casey thought. Just a little closer. The music burst into the guitar riff chorus, which made it difficult for Casey to concentrate. Gunner inched forward into the warehouse, his hand furthest from Casey dangling at his side. You hear me? Gunner yelled. I've killed for less than this, but I'm willing to talk if you show yourselves. I have cash in my truck. There's no way he brought cash, Casey thought. He readied himself on the balls of his feet. A little further. Each of Gunner's micro movements made Casey tense up. Gunner was now in front of the pyramid of his belongings. The song at its loudest, Casey prayed the music would muffle his steps. Gunner shifted his attention to the boombox. Casey shot out of his stance like a possessed lion with his tail on fire. Clubs flared. He launched at his target. Gunner crouched and spun, eyes wide at the insane beast barreling down on him. Casey whipped his leading club over Gunner's head, but drove his trailing club into his knee with an incredible crunch. The blow twisted twisted Gunner's body, but didn't prevent him from whipping his hand up. The flash of a muzzle blinded Casey and his body flew backwards as though he'd been sledgehammered in the center of his chest. Clutching at his chest, Casey watched the muzzle raise to his face. A flash of light with an electric jolt, Hondo drove his cattle prod into Gunner's neck. Gunner's body convulsed and a shot went wide of Casey's head. Hondo riffed the prod until Gunner fell into the fetal position. Chell drove a knee into Gunner's back and Truckee tightened a zip tie around his hands. AK Bob ran past them to the open door of the warehouse. He let his AK loose on Gunner's truck. Eat shit and die! Glass shattered from the truck's front window. The bark from the automatic machine gun sent everyone's hands to their ears. Chell screamed at AK Bob to stop shooting, but he couldn't hear him until he emptied his entire 75-round clip on the truck. AK Bob reached for a fresh banana clip in the cargo pocket and Chell screamed again, AK Bob, stop! We've got him! AK Bob turned, smoke coming out of the barrel of his AK. Just making sure he couldn't use his truck to get away. Casey ripped off his vest and looked at the slug embedded in the T of fugitive. His chest was swelling and it was challenging to breathe. He touched his chest and pain shot through his body. You okay, Buffalo Man? Truckee took the vest and helped him to his feet. Damn, that's gonna leave a mark. Good thing these vests are well made. Nothing but the finest from Locked and Loaded. AK Bob joined the group. $100, baby. Chell kneeled on Gunner's back, out of breath. Buffalo Man, you just bagged your first fish, a top tenner no less. Very nice work, Buffalo Man, Hondo said. You'll need to put some ice on that wound right away. You saved me with that cattle prod. Didn't allow him to blow off my head. Ugh. Gunner grunted and turned his head to the side. When I break free, I'm gonna murder every one of you in your sleep. Is that what you did to Parson? Casey asked. You're all dead men walking and you'll never find his body. Truckee ripped a piece of duct tape and covered Gunner's mouth. Maybe we should show you the same treatment you showed Parson. As much as I'd like to bury Gunner's body out here, we're gonna send Gunner on a one-way trip to Texas, Chell said, where he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. Buffalo Man, I'll take Gunner back to the office and work with Herc to exfil him. I have a special charter plane I use for these types of situations and I'll get him to Texas. Swing by my office next week and I'll get you your payout and have your paperwork ready for your full-time position. Sounds good. A familiar chirp rang from Gunner's pocket. Casey recognized it as the notification for Jibble. Hey, let me check that quick. He dug Gunner's phone out and saw a notification from the chat program. Holding the phone up to Gunner's face unlocked it. He opened the chat program and saw a message from someone with the username Rebel Rockstar. He thought about the Proton Mail email Piper had found earlier. Casey clicked on the message. What does it say? Truckee asked. Casey read it out loud. Where are you? We just got to the VIP section at P's and Q's. Truckee ripped Gunner's duct tape off. Who's that from? Your boss? Gunner spit on Truckee's boots. Truckee kicked Gunner in the teeth and put the tape back on. Casey scrolled up and read the other messages out loud. Rebel Rockstar asked if Gunner took care of the thing down in Bismarck. Must be the Farley bribe, he thought. Keep checking the messages, Chell said. Sometimes we can use things like this to find other bounties or criminals. Okay. Casey scrolled up the chat. Looks like Gunner referred to this Rebel Rockstar person as his boss and told him that they had to cancel an afternoon site visit because something came up. Hot damn! Truckee slapped Casey's shoulder and Casey yelped when pain shot through his chest. Oops! Sorry, but you know that had to have been those Chinese tourists you sent to visit him. Gunner grunted and tried to kick at Casey, but Chell dug his knee further into Gunner's back. Guess that squirrel trick worked. Casey scrolled up to the end of the 24-hour message period. Nothing else grabbed his attention while he scrolled until he reached the top. There was a video with a message below. He read it out loud. Rebel Rockstar wrote, "Is this Ranger the person snooping around our site?" Casey clicked on the video and it was from Beekler's TikTok page, tagged @Ranger Beekler, with the video of Casey giving a tour of Knife River. Casey covered his hand over his mouth. What is it? Truckee took the phone and read the next messages. Gunner said, yes, that's him. Want me to take care of him like I did with Parson? Rebel Rockstar wrote, not yet. I have his resume and I'll call him at his work. Maybe we can follow him from there. Wait a second. Casey strapped his vest back on. No way. What is it? Hondo asked. It's Billy Geronimo, Casey said. The treasure hunter. He's Gunner's boss and Rebel Resources is his company. He's leaving tomorrow. We have to get him now. Whoa, this isn't really an FRA situation, Chell said. Yeah, but Geronimo's company has drills all around the state with more missing people just like Parson, Casey said. We have to do something before he flees tomorrow. This is more of a law enforcement issue, Chell said. Although I'll be the first to admit CPD likely won't touch a guy like Geronimo Well, especially not by tomorrow. You're wrong, Hondo said. This is a community issue. The type of problem that's been plaguing Chokecherry for decades. Call it a citizen's arrest, call it what you will. Buffalo Man is going to handle these types of things from now on. I'll fire up the U-Haul and drive, Truckee said. You need backup? AK Bob asked. No, I'm just gonna go with Truckee. You can help Chell and Hondo get Gunner back to Outlaw Hunters. I need to get Geronimo on Gunner's phone to CPD before the messages expire. Casey went into the phone settings and turned the phone's passcode off and scanned Gunner's face for verification. Casey looked up at Truckee, who was spinning the U-Haul keys around his index finger. Your Bison mobile awaits.